Okay. Okay.
Okay, now my turn?
Yeah, I was kind of laughing at the same time. But you just look embarrassed.
You guys both oversold the throw up in
You
your
think?
mouth.
Should
Let's
you
get
wanna-
Kasey Kahne in here and show us how it's done.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's Rowdy.com Big Three, where we continue to try to perfect throwing up in your mouth.
We need to get Kasey Kahne in here to show
We
us how
need a
it's
little
done for real.
demonstration. We'll talk about Kasey.
Here's Kasey Kahne.
Well, no, you have to pretend to be sick first.
Okay.
Yeah. I wonder if he was sick on himself in the car. He was
Yeah.
sick of his brakes. We'll talk about that later. We're talking NASCAR with our friend Jerome Buzz Cutler, Buck Fever Bassmasters. Today's big issue has to be Jamie Mack, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
let's start with Jamie Mack, and here's what he says, not only about this year, but next year.
We're testing some other stuff that's a fair amount different, and I think if we can get that to work, then that's probably going to be an advantage for us next season. So we are kind of working on that, but at the same time, we've got some stuff that really reliable stuff that does seem to have a lot of speed in it.
So if Jamie McMurray is winning while experimenting for 2011, are you willing to give him the championship next season?
No, I'm not, because
He probably doesn't even have a single win
it's
next
not
season.
just that he's won 3 races and 3 of the bigger races.
big
This
ones.
certainly not as big as the first 2 that he won. It's that he also ran second in Darlington. He ran second in the 600. He ran third in the Bristol Night Race. And I think he's had at least one other top 5. He's had a number of very, very good finishes. Why is this man not in the top 12 drivers? I think that's the question he and his team have to answer. There are a lot of points to be had in the 15 to 20 range, in the 15 to 25 range that Jamie McMurray is not picking up right now. I think if he figures out how to do that, he'll be in the playoffs. And once he gets in there,
He can
God
really
knows
tear it up.
what he can do. Really impressed
He can
with what
really
he's done
tear
this
it
year.
up.
He could really tear it up. I'm touched by how philosophical and thoughtful he was after the race.
He was philosophical.
Talking
and
about
thoughtful.
prayer and even Sterling.
He didn't cry this time, but he actually talked about crying,
He did.
which I thought
He
was
did.
very
Yes,
nice.
Yes, very good.
Is that more or less sensitive, talking about crying?
I don't know. It's more philosophical and less sensitive.
Speaking of less sensitive, let's talk about Jimmie Johnson. Here he talks about how relieved he was to actually get in third place.
It's amazing what goes through your mind when you're sideways sliding in the back straightaway. I mean, I saw all my hard work for the year and all the dreams of being a 5-time champion just go away.
Well,
In other words,
okay.
he was like,
I didn't think it was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to
I
happen.
mean, I scanned these guys a lot during the race, this past race, and I was just I felt like I was at this like Stuart Smalley convention or something. You're good enough. You can do it. Good job, buddy. Hey guys, pick it up. I mean, it made me sick, but then I'm like, these guys just kept it positive the whole
I know.
race long, and sure enough, he's back to the front, outruns all his nearest competitors, picks up points on everybody. I mean, Denny Hamlin did well to only lose 5 points to Jimmie Johnson.
It
but-
makes you wonder because you listen to the scanners of Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch and
they're all like,
Kevin Harvick goes, it's done, we're done, yeah, it's over. Oh yeah, we just lost, we blew another race.
way to go, guys.
You know, and then Kyle Busch is like, way to go. Oh, by the way, the throttle isn't hanging anymore.
Exactly.
You know, it's like-
Oops, never mind.
Jimmy and Chad, they have a system and it's working.
I mean, I know there are races where they probably do lose their stuff,
Yeah.
Buck, but this race was not one of them. They stayed together and they stayed focused, and I have to believe that's part of their success equation.
it's all mental. It's all mental.
It's all mental. I mean, it's not fun to listen to. It's much more entertaining to listen to Kyle, but Jimmie Johnson keeps his head together.
It's funny because in the media center, when people were scanning Kyle, all of a sudden the entire media center would start laughing
Right.
at once because of some tirade he went on.
He does go on the occasional tirade.
He's amusing.
Speaking of tirades, one guy that we're not used to going on them, but certainly held his own Saturday night, Kasey Kahne, pretended to be sick and then stormed out of the track.
Wait, first of
and
all,
J.J. Yaley had to save Richard Petty Motorsports' butt.
It was cool to see our buddy JJ in that car, but Kasey Kahne was sick. He did throw up.
He was sick of his brakes.
He was also sick and tired of losing his brakes, which has happened a number of times this year. I will say that my impression after listening to some of Casey's comments yesterday at his charity race, which he did run in, Buck, I know this
And he
got you
ran
all hot and bothered.
22 minutes after being sick?
Well, he is in good shape. I mean, he's a professional
I would
athlete.
say so. My question.
My point is this. If Kasey Kahne had been at a team that he was going to race for next year, or if he hadn't been so frustrated this race, he probably would have gutted it out and got back in the car. That's what I believe after listening to all the stuff he said. That wasn't the case. He didn't get back in the car. He just was sick, and he was sick and tired.
I guess my question to you is, because I wrote a blog on that, do you think is it a bad thing that he got up and walked away?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think you can't do that to your team.
I think the thing is, that's my point about him not being with the team next year. He also allowed, as how someone came up to him and said, you need to do your part, Kasey, someone on the team. You need to do your part. And I think at that point you're finding like there's an adversarial feeling. These teams, it gets to the end of the year, they're not doing so great, the driver's leaving. There's a lot of friction.
So let me ask you this really quickly. Just give me a yes or no answer.
Not the ideal move,
Just
okay?
give me a yes or no answer. Will Kasey Kahne finish out the season in the number 9?
Yes, I think he will, and I think the reason he will is because Budweiser is the one piece of this puzzle that doesn't have much to gain by getting the switch done early. All right, that's been your Radar.com Big 3 for today. For Buck Fever, I'm Bass Masters. We will try not to throw up in our mouth today. Hopefully you didn't throw up in your mouth watching this video, but you can comment on it. If you did throw up in your mouth, hit the comment button below and let us know
and regurgitate
how that went for you. And if you want, one thing you can do is you could video yourself on your little webcam.
Throwing up in your mouth?
Pretending to throw up in your mouth and see if you could outdo us.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.